And I thought, oh, that's nice. I didn't know what to say. And she said, and tomorrow we've got to have communion. I said, yes, that's right. And she said, well, I'm not allowed to take communion when I've got my period, but I really, really want to take communion. Do you think you could let me take communion, please? And I said, you know, in Australia, the way things work, it doesn't matter if you've got your period or whether, it doesn't matter. You can take communion. But she was really, really concerned about this. And she said, well, it's my last day, because she wasn't going to do it. She said, oh, I know that you do things differently in Australia, but if somebody from home found out, I'd get in trouble and all this stuff. My father would hate me. My minister, my priest probably would never serve me communion again. And I said, oh, okay. And then she she wanted to take it, and she was looking for reasons to say it was okay for her to take communion. And she goes, but tomorrow will be my last day. And I knew that that was something that she could take hold of. So I said, well, since it's your last day, you know, you've got most of the impurities are out and all of this kind of stuff, sure. Why? I think the last day, if it's your last day of your period, it'll be okay. And she said, oh, thank you so much. I really wanted to do that. Isn't that an amazing story? Just something that we would not even comprehend. Something that we would not, in our wildest dreams, could think is possible. But it's happening all over Asia. People, you know, we're talking about gender justice, women and men sitting on different sides, and we're talking about women in leadership and women in bishops and all that kind of stuff. And here we've got places in the world where women can't even take communion if they've got their period. It's just... And you feel so hopeless and useless. What can you do? How can you make a difference? How can one person do something about this? But I want to go through the 23rd Psalm. One of the other exciting things was I got to lead heaps of Bible studies. And I did one on the 23rd Psalm. And I said, how does the 23rd Psalm speak to Asian people? How does this psalm speak to people who are in poverty, people who don't have fresh water, people who don't have healthcare, people who are scared for their very lives, who don't have comfort? How does the 23rd Psalm speak to them? Because it has lines like, God is my shepherd, I shall not want. People are wanting for just the basic things. God makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside still waters. Still water. Water that you can drink, water that can replenish you, water that... God restores my soul. God leads me in paths of righteousness. These people, all they know is corruption. You know, someone said to me, he had his license, and I said, what do you have to do to get a license? He goes, oh, you just have to have enough money to pay the police chief. You know, corrupt. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. They're always fearing evil. They're always fearing what could go wrong. How could I get in trouble? When am I going to get my next whatever. You prepare a table before me. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of God my whole life long. Now, this paints this beautiful picture of having everything that we need, all of our desires met, all of our wants met. It doesn't talk about needs, it talks about wants. It talks about comfort and happiness, joy, mercy, grace. Yet 80% of the people in our world don't know what that is. Perhaps can dream about it, but certainly will never get to experience it. How does this psalm speak to them? Most people interpret this as an eschatological chapter, which means it's for the end times. It's for death. It's for heaven. But it's funny because the last verse says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of God my whole life long. This psalm is about now. This psalm is about our lives as we live now. So how can we use this psalm for others? Jesus said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. We are the first. It's our time now. It's our responsibility to become last. It's our responsibility to make the 23rd Psalm a reality for all of the people in this world. Now, how we can do that, I have to admit, I don't know. You know, there's charity groups like Amnesty International, Oxfam, World Vision, all of those organisations that try to provide relief and care and all of that kind of stuff. Perhaps we can begin by giving money to them, helping them, sponsoring a child, or not supporting big international companies that are obviously exploiting people. Or we could pray, or just be aware of the issues. Desmond Tutu says, how do you eat an elephant? I've said this before, but how do you eat an elephant? A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. So if we all ate little chunks out of that big elephant, sooner or later the elephant would be gone. And maybe that's what we can do with the poverty, the injustice, and the evil that is in our world. God bless you all. I pray that you will be challenged and you will think about this sermon and the stories that I've told you.